And it's coming in from the other side today. Previously on 10 Albums in 10 Days. What? Hey guys, it's me with the microphone here. Welcome back to 10 Albums in 10 Days. It's day 3 and you know what that means. Third album. It's pretty obvious. For proper context and rules, you need to head over to the first episode of this very series. Now, back in college, I was, to put it lightly, fucking obsessed with Metallica. I tried to model myself as much like James Hetfield as I could. I analysed the way that he held his plectrum, mimicked it. I grew a little goatee like the one that he had back then. I believed I could sing like him, and I even purchased an LTD FX 400 because it looked like an RGM 57, which I had first seen him use in the S&M concert. Which, side note, that could be on this list easily, but I've got another Metallica album for this. My obsession with Metallica meant that I would give no other band a chance. Humble brag. To my detriment, for sure, I believed that every other band was inferior, and I hated the concept of screaming in music because I couldn't understand at the time what they were saying, so I just figured, oh, this guy clearly can't sing. And on top of that, I just avoided listening to any music that was suggested to me as if it was the plague. But then a friend finally got tired of me constantly banging on about Metallica and my love for Metallica, so he sat me down at college in the computer room and he showed me this song. It was this slow-paced, thumping riff where the drums and the guitars exploded into the chorus and then into this massive middle section, only to go fucking mental for the outro. And it was then I discovered my love for screaming, or whatever you wanted to call it. I don't really care. The band that I had just discovered was Gojira, and the song was called Vacuity. When I finished college that day, I travelled home on a bus, humble brag, fired up my laptop and purchased The Way of All Flesh. 3 to 5 working days later, the CD arrived, I popped it into my laptop and began my journey with this album. Fair warning, mostly to myself because I have to edit this video later on. This is going to be long. I want to take the time to talk about each song because I believe that this album changed my perception of heavy metal for the better. It opened me up to the actual ideals of metal musicians for the most part, and it taught me that I was going about heavy metal music the wrong way. So The Way of All Flesh has significant meaning to me and my development as a baby boy. So let's unpack this magnificent album right now. Ouroboros, the first time I'd ever seen or heard that word. I had to Google the definition to learn what the song was about. But let's put that aside to one moment and let's talk about the fact that Ouroboros introduces you and tells you everything you need to know about Gojira all in one song. They like to tap, they like to strum the highest 3 open strings, they love a good slide, they love chugging some open Ds, and the drummer is batshit insane. There are a couple of other things that you're yet to learn about Gojira's writing style, but we'll get to those in a bit. This song gives you no time to contemplate what you're getting yourself into when you are starting your journey with this album. It just explodes into your ears like a phoenix erupting from the ashes. After the song has come to an abrupt end, we get a nice piece of music that sounds like backwards guitars, and then we get kicked in the f***ing mouth with Toxic Garbage Island. This song introduces 2 new aspects to Gojira. One is they love a pinch harmonic, and 2, the screaming actually has a discernible note most of the time. There are actual vocal melodies under the majority of his screams. I believe he's using a technique called vocal fry, which can be found in a lot of soft rock, but this is turned up to 11. Toxic Garbage Island is a stark reminder that there is a landmass, I believe the size of Texas, I haven't done any research for this video, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, made completely of plastic. You'll never hear someone scream so passionately the words plastic bag in the sea as you will when you listen to the outro of this song. The chaotic opener, the melodic yet massive chorus, And then the outro makes this song so much fun to play on guitar. It is a highlight of my streams for sure, and it's probably one of the most requested Gojira songs that I get asked to play, possibly behind Flying Whales. Oh, and a side note, From Mars to Sirius could easily be on this list, but The Way of All Flesh just beats it just by a little bit, simply by being the introduction to Gojira for me. A Sight to Behold follows, which gives us just a tiny bit of a break, allowing the bass and the synth to really lead the majority of this song. Joe's kind of creepy vocal effect that's over the top makes the song kind of sound robotic before it explodes with the tapping riff and the latter half of the song. From a guitar playing standpoint, this is possibly the low point of the album for me, simply because I don't really listen to it very much, because I've never learned it. However, it is a fantastic song. Yama's Messengers was, at the time, the heaviest thing I had ever come across. F me dead. It explodes into this crushing riff with a technique that I hadn't heard before. These like fast triplets that start on the beat and almost finish on that same beat as well. That's how fast they're being played. I've no idea what the technical term for that is, but at the time I had never heard of it before. This song is just unrelenting from start to finish. The way that it trudges through and slams down with every snare hit and then picks up to the end, and it just keeps going, and it gets away with it because A Sight to Behold gives you a bit of a break, and then the Silver Chord, which follows, really lets you sit back after the mayhem of Yama's Messengers. There isn't too much to sort of talk about in terms of the Silver Chord, but it was the first time I had heard an instrumental break on an album. Obviously Call of Cthulhu and Orion are in my music library, and were at the time, but I consider them to be songs, whereas the Silver Chord was more of an instrumental break as opposed to a song. Outside of that, it's a beautiful piece of music that lets you sit back just before the second half of the album really kicks into gear. And f me dead, does it do that with All the Tears. All the Tears is f***ing mayhem, and I love it. This song really proves that Gojira love a meaty pinch harmonic, what with there being one in every f***ing bar of the main riff. And as a side note, I really like the art style of the music video as well. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Adoration for None features the singer from Lamb of God, Randy Blythe. I had heard Walk With Me in Hell at college because my friend was obsessed with it, as I was with Metallica. So as soon as Adoration for None started, because Randy's got such an iconic sound to his vocals, I knew exactly who it was, and that actually prompted me to listen to Lamb of God later on. And they're pretty good. This song also introduces the next two things that Gojira likes to do, one of which I like to call cat scrapes, and the other one is fading outros. And f me dead, do they like a fading outro? For reference, in case there's a proper name for it, this is a cat scrape. This song was the last track I learned on guitar, aside from A Sight to Behold, because it wasn't in the official Way of All Flesh guitar tab book, and it wasn't on Ultimate Guitar at the time, so I had to learn it by ear, which was the first song that I'd ever actually tried to do that with. And while it wasn't perfect, I probably got it down to about 90% correct, which I was pretty chuffed about, to be honest. Nowadays it's so much fun to play, and anytime I get the opportunity to on Reddit and Twitch, I jump on it because I just love playing that song. It's so much fun. After Adoration for None, we get the third song title in a row that begins with an A, Art of Dying. Technically The Art of Dying, but who gives a shit about the? The Art of Dying is absolute insanity. If anyone other than Mario knows when to hit the snare during the intro of this song, fair play to you. You are far better a musician than I will ever be. The song is pretty simple out of context. It starts with the percussion section at the beginning, which you can follow along nicely to the beat. Then the guitars come in with just an open C riff that just carries on for like a full minute. Then there's these meaty verses that go into massive choruses, ending with the colossal outro that fades into this very nice sort of backwards guitar-y section. If you had to represent this album with a mountain, Ouroboros would be at the base, and then The Art of Dying would be at the summit, but that's not to say that the rest of the album goes downhill from there, or down the mountain from there. If anything, there's another separate mountain on top of which the rest of the album ascends to. Esoteric Surgery is akin to From the Sky off From Mars to Sirius, in that the vast majority of this song is fast tremolo picking, but yet it still remains melodic and very headbang worthy. And speaking of headbang worthy, f***ing Vacuity, the first song of Gojira I ever heard, follows that. Me dead. This song is so heavy. The relentless chugging guitars, the stop-start of Mario's drumming, the massive outro. God damn, this song is so good. Such a tasty boy. The music video for it, though, is f***ing disgusting. The chain coming out of the woman's stomach. No, thank you. After that, we have quite possibly my favorite Gojira song to play on guitar, Wolf Down the Earth. This song has basically every Gojira trope in it. There's tremolo picking, pinch harmonics, cat scrapes, open strings, harmonies. I absolutely adore the simplicity of the middle section, a severely underrated riff and song for that matter in my opinion, and finally the grand spectacle that is the last song, the title track, The Way of All Flesh. Goodness gracious me, me dead, what can I say about this song? I think The Way of All Flesh convinced me that Gojira are one of the best bands of like our time. The way that Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, Pantera were all considered like the big four. I think Gojira is one of those bands, at least for me, of this time. The Way of All Flesh starts with Mario's just ridiculous drumming and then goes hell for leather for about 2 minutes before teasing you with the outro, only to go back into this explosive heavy section. But then it arrives, the finale, what the whole album has built up to until this point, the outro. Do not be afraid, let yourself go. Oh, you have to listen to it. No amount of words can do this song, or the album as a whole, any sort of justice. Gojira proves that not all metal is about aggression, and in actuality you will find a lot of passion in metal, at least in the right bands anyway. Sure, there are bands that push aggressive, hateful and violent acts, but Gojira proved that heavy metal can have this emotional and passionate side to it as well, and that's perfectly proved in the outro alone of The Way of All Flesh, let alone songs like Born in Winter and Lowlands off of L'Enfant Sauvage and Magma respectively. Anyway, this song is long enough as it is. I've got no more to say on this. I f***ing love Gojira. Go listen to the album. It will make your day. Check back tomorrow for number 4. Here is the outro screen. There is a playlist to the rest of the 10 albums in 10 days list. There's also a video that YouTube is recommending for you specifically. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe. Wear a mask. It's not difficult. Look after yourself. Look after the ones you love. Have a great day.